Hey everyone, it's Theresa V, and this is the place to be if you are ready to live in a world where your sensitivities are your superpowers. Each month, I check in with the archangels to see what they have to say by way of advice for us as we navigate the energies of the earth at that time. This month, we're talking about the multidimensional earth, heartache and discernment, joy, as well as dragons and our unseen helpers. So stay tuned. I think it's safe to say that at this point, any preconceived notions of what Ascension would look like have had to be released. It's becoming apparent that even within our spiritual and lightworker community, there are splits and rifts and fragmentations happening. And this has been very painful for a lot of people. It's been overwhelming and also a little bit unnerving as we see our friends and those that we were walking the path with start to choose different paths, very often paths and ideals that do not feel resonant at all to us. This has been causing a lot of sadness and maybe even fear. It starts to make each of us feel like we are more alone than we thought we were. However, this is exposing a preconceived idea that the way through Ascension would be each and every one of us consistently moving along the exact same path with very little differentiation in thoughts or ideology. And now what it's starting to look like to us is that we're all choosing completely different directions, and that our paths might not be even parallel when it feels like you've been walking with your group, your tribe, your family for so long, and then these changes start taking place. It can be upsetting. There are a few important things that the angels really want us to remember at this time and when things like this happen. The first is to be more in discernment than judgment. And here's why. What is happening on the planet is we know that there is a multidimensional earth now. We know that we are still able to see people living in the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimension at the same time. Just because frequencies are changing doesn't mean at this point that we are unable to see people who are not living within the same dimension as us, which is really beautiful and also at this point in time very unnerving. It would be so easy for us to move through these emotions if our friends chose a path that is a different dimension and they just poof, disappeared. We would understand that they've chosen a different path that is not part of our reality and they're gone. But that's not the way Earth is right now. We can all still see each other. We can all still coexist to a degree. And why I say to a degree is because we are each choosing our own reality. We've been told over and over again, hold the vision. What's really important for us is to connect with the emotion of the world that we want to create. And from there, walk the path that feels like it most gets us there. And this is what's happening. Each individual person is choosing the path that feels the most resonant to get to the place of emotion that we have been holding. Now, just because somebody's chosen path doesn't look like yours doesn't mean that it's not valid. It may not feel valid to you because that's not where you're resonating, but it is valid to them. And what's important for us to remember is that we all started this journey with the same objective in mind, and that objective is to hold the vision for the reality that we want to create, for benevolent reality, for a place to live that is beautiful for each and every soul. Each of the paths we're walking will have varying degrees of different energy. So, the path that's chosen by someone that has a little bit more fear energy than you're resonant with is not your path. The path that's chosen by someone that has a little bit more love energy than you're resonant with is not your path. You're walking the exact right path for you. And we each need to give everyone the dignity of their process because the intention still comes from a place of good. And that's what we need to remember. And this is where judgment versus discernment comes in. And there's a very subtle difference in the way that I use these words. When we are in judgment of another, there's a little bit of ego involvement. There's finger pointing, and there's a sense of right and wrong, good and bad, better and worse. When we're in discernment, we can say, okay, this doesn't feel right for me, but it obviously feels right for you. And I'm making the choice out of an empowered place of caring for myself that this path doesn't feel right for me. So we will connect on these matters, or maybe we don't connect at all for a little while until we move through this part of our lives. And that's discernment. It's making a choice from a place of empowerment without having to prove someone else wrong, even when their path doesn't feel true or resonant with you. It's also really important to remember that each of the different ideologies we're hearing, especially now, started with some kernel of truth somewhere. And what's happened is people have started sharing thoughts and ideas about that one kernel of truth. And things blossom and things grow and things change depending on the kinds of thoughts that are being thought, the kind of words that are being expressed, and the amount of fear and love that is being brought to that space. So that framework is being created with those thoughts and with those ideas. And sometimes based on what's happening, there are varying degrees of fear, there are varying degrees of judgment, there are varying degrees of upset and love that come in with them. And so that's when the frequency starts to change. It's people's thoughts about things, it's people's ideas about things, it's the changing of the story in the telling of it. And all of a sudden, that original kernel of truth has morphed into something completely different. And this is why so much of what you're hearing right now feels like, something about that sounds and feels true, but not in the way it's being presented. And there's a lot of it that just feels it makes me feel really sick. And so it's important for each of us to take those kernels of truth, those nuggets of gold from everything we're hearing, from everything we're experiencing, sift through all of the other energies and just take the nugget of gold. And then put that on our altar, on our mental altar, to let ourselves muse on, to let ourselves adopt if it feels true to us, and then to work from there. And what starts to happen is we're able to extract the nuggets of gold from all of the various things that we're hearing that feel true to us, and those nuggets of gold start to string themselves together into a reality, into a vibration that feels much better and much truer to each and every one of us. It's important for us also to realize that people are not often going to be convinced by anything that we say in order to change their mind when there's an idea that they're very attached to. So save your breath, just let people have the dignity of their own process and move through what they need to move through to get to the other side of this time, this ascension, this space. Let them choose the path, the frequency, the vibration, the dimension that feels exactly right for them, because that is where their soul needs to be. And it can be very sad when it's not the path that you're on, especially with people that you love and that you were close to and that maybe you even had an expectation of. So just do your best to move through your own mourning process with that, to really acknowledge the feelings that you're feeling and get to a place through allowing those feelings to wash through you of coming to love, coming to understanding, whatever that looks like for you, and moving forward, even though right now it feels like a fragmentation and fractalization. It actually is a splitting, but a splitting in the name of unity. And each of us has guardian angels, each of us has the archangels watching over our path, watching over each choice that we make. This time is also activating our core values even more within us. Each of us has maybe 3 to 5 core values. So if you look back over the duration of your life, you can see what your core values are. You can see the things that are really important to you that are either necessary in opportunities and relationships in your life, or that you absolutely will not tolerate tolerate. And when anything feels out of the realm of your core values, you are going to be highly activated in reaction to that, because part of why you're here on this planet is to anchor the frequency of those core values. So you will know right away if something goes against them, and you will feel the call right now, in this moment, in this time of great change, to either remove yourself from the things that don't align with your core values, or look at what's around you and see how you can begin to align the world around you more and more with those things that you hold dear. So in this time where you may already be feeling a little bit lonely or isolated, and now you're starting to feel like you can't even relate to some of your closest family and your closest friends, it's really important to remember to take the time to nurture yourself and to be in your place of joy, to play, to experience life, even in the littlest of ways. Because two things are happening. You're getting much more clear in the vibration that you're sending out, and you will be attracting people and opportunities into your life that align even more than the things that you feel and the people that you feel are leaving. So just walk in that trust and that knowing, because Archangel Michael is standing with each and every one of us, holding his sword of light and truth and bringing in those opportunities to us, especially as we're feeling the heartache and maybe the betrayal of losing some friends or shifting path. And the second thing is that our friends and our allies in the mostly unseen realms are really wanting to work with us. They're truly ready to spend time with us. And we're talking beings like the dragons and the fairies and other elementals, and of course our angels and the unicorns and all of the realms that we've heard the mythology about that we might have not been able to or been afraid to connect with before. Because our earth has renewed herself so much and she's been nurtured so much at this time, and because we've spent so much time as a collective, humanity as a collective, chosen or not, we have spent this time in deep contemplation and deep inner exploration, really coming face to face with some of those things inside of us that were less than lovely, regardless of what our spiritual leanings are. We came face to face with ourselves, and we've explored and moved through so much of what came up. These realms are now ready to assist us in moving through the next level of relationship with the earth, of relationship with the universe, of relating to ourselves as beings who are of and who are nature. The best part is that the vibration and the frequency that we are currently anchoring on Earth allows communication with these realms much more freely and for sustained periods of time than we had access to previously, at least in this lifetime. And as we move into the desire to forge these new relationships, to be in our highest vibration, to be in our joy as much as possible, it is really important to remember that we are still going through a time that is really trying for us, that can be taxing on our bodies and our nervous systems, where we really need to deeply nurture our immune system and take care of ourselves. So when you feel like you just don't have enough energy to get done what you need to get done, give yourself that and let yourself renew and replenish in whatever way you need to. Things don't look the way they normally do right now, so just realize that you can't expect yourself to function the same way that you always did. This is a different time. It's a temporary time, and it's time for us to get much more comfortable with listening to our body elemental and listening to what he, she, or they need from us. Remember, as you're holding other people and trying to assist them through the times and everything that they're going through, you need to also hold yourself the same way. That feels really complete from the angels for this month. Know that as you move forward on your path, Archangel Michael and the Legion of Light stands with you on your journey, protecting you, guiding you, and assisting you in making empowered choices for yourself. Please don't resist his guidance. Continue to follow your heart in all of the ways that feel true to you. If learning about and spending more time with the unseen realms sounded good to you, I invite you to check out the 4-part series coming up, where we will explore the kingdoms of the dragons, the fairies, the angels, as well as the unicorns. We'll find out who they are and how they operate, what their life purpose is, how we can connect with them, and we'll actually forge connections where we develop personal relationships that we can choose to take outside of the course and continue on with. This course goes from the end of June through mid-July. If this sounds fun to you, I really encourage you to click the link in the description of this video and check it out for yourself. I can't wait to be with you in the space of connecting with the unseen realms and forging deep, meaningful, and joy-filled relationships with all of the beings who are here to love and support you and our beloved Mother Earth. Sending you so much love. Thank you as always for being here. Please feel free to share this video out as you feel called. Sending you so much love and so many blessings, and we'll connect soon. Bye, everyone.